With the winds of political change blowing across South Africa, congratulations from the US State Department on successful national and provincial elections, vowing to remain committed to deepening cooperation and advancing shared interests. While the Council on Foreign Relations expressed surprise at just how poorly the ruling party performed.
I think, like many, I'm surprised at how poorly the ANC did in this election. I expected less than 50%, but I didn't expect them to barely clear 40. And I'm a bit surprised by the enthusiasm for the MK party. I think it's worth thinking really hard about what those votes were about. If they were about a perception that President Zuma was persecuted, if they're really about a desire to fundamentally change the Constitution, I think there's a lot of work to be done. But I will say this, I'm incredibly impressed. South Africa appears to have had a very free and fair and hotly contested election, and the ruling party that suffered real losses has accepted those results. And all of this is, proof of democratic resilience.
Gavin, who is a former U.S. ambassador to Botswana and the former U.S. representative to SADC, was cautious not to be drawn on speculating on any preferred particular coalition partners for the ANC, but warned that the real picture of what kind of partner South Africa would be in the future to countries like the United States had yet to be revealed. She further explained that there was cautious optimism, but that would be dependent on what any future coalition looked like, but offered this view on the EFF and MK.
One is very reluctant to suggest that we have preferences. That said, it's no secret, right, that the rhetoric and party platforms of MK and the economic freedom fighters are alarming to a lot of the U.S. businesses that operate in South Africa, trade with South Africa. So that's I think, very clear and understood. It's also, though, clear to Americans that a lot of South Africans are frustrated. They feel there's not been sufficient transformation of the economy, and they feel they're not getting the opportunities that they need to live the kind of dignified lives that everybody's entitled to. So there's I think a reckoning, a realization that South Africans want change, and we need to be ready to be partners with whatever that changed type of leadership might look like.
On the DA's inability to substantially broaden its support despite touting its governance in the Western Cape as a model it seeks to emulate in other provinces.
My hope would be that the DA would think hard about why people are not responding to their message, why perhaps the perception is that this is not really a party about inclusion. I think there are some pretty clear lessons that can be gleaned from the stagnation that you speak to, because in poll after poll, South Africans say they definitely want better, more effective governance, right? But it's also, I think, incredibly important that governance is inclusive, representative, and sensitive to South Africa's very specific history and the structural injustices that it takes generations to address.
She also pointed to clear parallels between former Presidents Jacob Zuma and Donald Trump, and the echoes between both leaders and the movements that support them.
President Zuma's questioning of the results, demand to have the election rerun, even though his party exceeded all expectations, it strikes me as a tactic designed to convince people that the system simply doesn't work, that democracy doesn't work, that the institutions are rigged and the fix is in. This is very much in line with what President Trump and his supporters are constantly trying to convince the American people. And I find it incredibly scary here as an American, and I worry about it for South Africa, because this message that trust nothing but me, and norms and rules are designed to oppress you, I don't think it leads any of us anywhere terribly good.
Gavin further warned that President Cyril Ramaphosa should not prioritize internal party dynamics over the need to focus on clear national benchmarks. Siobhan Bryceby's SABC News, New York.